Legendary WWE superstar Kane recently spoke about his relationship with The Undertaker and called it the best, most epic storyline that has ever been done, saying, quote, really, it was almost like you took Greek mythology and put it into wrestling with us. I'm joined now by SI's Justin Barrasso. And Justin, you spoke to Kane recently about this relationship. Is there a character more closely aligned to The Undertaker than Kane?
No, I mean, with the exception of Paul Bearer, his original manager. Unfortunately, Percy Pringle passed away. But in terms of in the ring, there's nobody quite like Kane in terms of The Undertaker. Right from that night he was debuted at Bad Blood, Paul Bearer, the storyline had built up this character, this younger brother of The Undertaker, seeking revenge and redemption. And the match was so good with Shawn Michaels, the first ever Hell in a Cell, you kind of forgot about it. So when Kane came out, and it's Vince McMahon on the broadcast and Jim Ross, and they're really doing a great job of selling, that's got to be Kane. So through Hellfire and Brimstone, yeah, he again, a guy too behind the scenes, Glenn Jacobs, who couldn't find the right role in the first 5 years of his career, and then found a role in Kane that was, 23 years later, it's still going strong. So I think when you think of Kane, you certainly think of The Undertaker.
Well, and you mentioned 23 years later, that longevity right there. When you look back at the beginning, though, was there a breakout moment for Kane? And did you ever think he would have this kind of longevity?
So it's a good question. I don't know that, because everything with The Undertaker was one-offs, Madeline. It was bringing a monster, maybe to a good match, maybe not to a good match, but Giant Gonzalez or Kamala or even Yokozuna, those were good matches. But it was always bringing a monster and that King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania, and then have him disappear. So with Kane, I think you would think it was just going to be a one-off, and they built toward WrestleMania. I think that WrestleMania in Boston is the moment, though. That's the moment for me, at least, at WrestleMania 14, when it's a strange open, but it's in Boston, and Pete Rose comes out and just rips into the crowd about, being on the Reds and beating the Red Sox for the World Series, and Bill Buckner, the ball going through his legs, and just kind of being a great bad guy to the crowd. And Kane comes out and tombstones Pete Rose, and the crowd lights up. So to me, that was the moment where it was like, and then they worked the match, and Kane talks about this in the interview. They worked the match, and Kane's the villain, and The Undertaker's the good guy. But it was still such a great moment with Pete Rose. Fast forward to 6 years later, we're at WrestleMania 20. They had the Kane Undertaker rematch at WrestleMania, and then fast forward another 7 or 8 years, and you have the Kane really entertaining stuff on his own. He ends up teaming with Daniel Bryan in Team Hell No, and that was extremely entertaining. He makes some connections in the interview between The Undertaker and Daniel Bryan. So I think the plan couldn't have been for Kane. I know they liked Glenn Jacobs. They had high hopes for him, but I think this definitely exceeded everyone's expectations.
Absolutely, becoming a legendary household name, to say the least. Justin Barrasso, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.